we make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something.
Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Welcome to the show. Around just about any home is a wall, a room, or a patch of yard that's a blank canvas of sorts, just waiting to be made over into something that will put a smile on your face every time you see or use it. Now that's certainly true about today's project, where we turn a scruffy patch of turf into a very cozy patio and sitting spot, using pavers that are man-made but look convincingly like natural stone. Then I'll show you how to turn a standard wall outlet into a switched receptacle in less than 10 minutes without cutting a hole or even using wires. Finally, we'll take a look at what a lot of folks are using to lower their heating bills: pellet stoves. Now this one is state-of-the-art and practically runs itself. So grab a cup of coffee, settle back, and join me on another house call.
Well, it's time for me to hit the road again, and today I'm headed to Columbia, South Carolina, to visit Homer and Amanda Simpson. Homer Nathaniel Simpson of Columbia has little in common with his famous namesake. He and his wife Amanda enjoy the theater and sipping wine with friends. Now, nothing would be better on those warm southern nights than to move the gathering outdoors. And the side yard off the kitchen would be perfect if there were a little more to it than just dirt and weeds. So the Simpsons have asked me to help them create a cottage-like backyard patio and garden.
Hi,
Amanda. How are you?
Good. It's so nice to meet you.
Can't believe it. Homer Simpson.
At your service.
We just didn't get any of the royalties, you know?
What's it been like to go through life as Homer Simpson?
Well, we all have our cross in life to bear. This is one of the first good things that's come out of it.
That's right.
Oh, I gotta tell you, I had to come meet you. I couldn't pass that name up. So we're going to work on the yard today,
Yeah,
I know.
come on, we'll show you.
Patio.
This
Your
is
sand
it.
pit, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Not
you've done
much
a
to
great
look
job
at.
on the front of the house.
That's-
You just haven't gotten back here yet.
We haven't. We have not.
So the material I was thinking about, guys, is kind of it's a paver, but it looks a little bit more like natural stone. It's in curved shapes, kind of irregular shapes. Will that work for you?
I think that'll be perfect.
That'd be great.
Ah, yes, the materials are here. Well, you know, the only depressing thing about this is that we're going to have to lift every one of these and carry it to the other side of the house. This is a product called Nature Walk by Matt Stone. Now, this is actually a man-made material, but I have to tell you, that's pretty convincing.
Very.
And they're
Very
designed
nice.
to interlock the shapes one with the next. We'll get into more of that later. And we have some other materials here as well. This is leveling sand. We'll be digging out a little bit of the soil that's there, putting some leveling sand down so that we get a nice level surface on these. This is pea gravel. There will be some gaps along the edges perhaps, so we're going to run probably an edging block along the side and then fill the space between the edging block and the pavers with the pea gravel right here.
Great.
But before we do anything with this, I want to go back around to the other side and sort of lay this out on the ground there,
Okay.
so we can sort of get into agreement on what the shape is going to be. Okay. All right. Well, that's 3 down, 270 to go, right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk layout here, guys. After determining the boundaries of our patio, we begin staking them out. Okay, can I give you a hammering suggestion?
Please do.
This is a very heavy hammer. It actually is called a 2-pound sledge.
Okay.
So the idea is to let gravity do some of this work for you.
Okay.
You've had a lot of wrist action in here. So raise it up a little higher. And if you just almost let it fall, that's almost, ooh. Oh,
Okay.
That's almost just the weight of the hammer there. Just try that.
Okay.
Just let it fall on the stake. After driving in our first few stakes, we outline the boundaries with string, pulling it taut for straight lines. Run it down to Nat. Just let him take it down there.
Okay.
Yeah, get right up over the stump. Well, there it is. What do you think? Is it going to work?
I think it looks great. My only question is, could we not go a little deeper with the pavers?
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
I kind of draw on the line there because I'm not sure how much material we have right now.
Okay, I understand.
And if we don't have enough material today, you guys can always extend this
That's right.
back further on.
Because we'll know how to do it now.
You'll know how to do it.
And you'll come back and help.
And I won't come back and help. Because otherwise this would be meaningless.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so that's the good news. We've got a plan to start with right now. The bad news is we've got to take about 3 inches of soil out every place inside the string here. Digging out 3 inches is necessary to keep the top of the pavers level with the rest of the yard. But it's already got Ned wondering what he's signed up for.
I thought this was the part that was done with the magic of television.
Whoa.
The magic of television. Now there's an illusion. This is the reality of hard labor.
There you go. The reality.
The reality of hard labor meets the magic of television. Yes.
We're not scared.
The magic of television is here.
Meet David Schulte, my always present but rarely seen carpenter, who helps speed up jobs like this one for the sake of TV. We're also getting a hand from my assistant carpenter, Scott Haynes, which gives me a chance to get better acquainted with Homer Nat Simpson. So, seriously, Nat, what's it been like growing up Homer Simpson?
I think one of the first tricks I learned was unlisted phone number.
Really?
That and going by my middle name.
Now, what's the most common thing people say to you? Dope.
Needless to say, none of our children will be named Bart, Lisa, or Maggie.
Now, probably the single most important step in a patio project like this is making sure that the ground underneath is properly prepared. We've done 3 things. First of all, we made sure that the area that we dug out here is uniformly 3 inches deep. This line right here is at grade down at that end and up here, and we've measured in several places to make sure that it's consistently 3 inches from the string down to the ground. Secondly, we want to make certain that the patio slopes from the house outward. That's because any water that runs off the roof up here will hit the patio, run away from the house, and not back toward the foundation. And third, we've taken a lot of care to be sure that this area is very flat in here, because whatever high spots or low spots would be in here would telegraph right through to the pavers. The flatter this is, the flatter the patio will be. And finally, we've gone ahead and tamped the soil, compacted it so that it won't settle underneath the pavers. Okay guys, tamp away.
All right, this is the fun part.
Yeah, it is the fun part. But you can feel how much more solid this is after you do that.
Absolutely.
You don't feel like you're sort of sinking down into it.
Yeah.
Dirt loves to be tamped. I'd help. We've only got 2 tampers. Want me to spell you there for a minute? Amanda, you tired?
Sure.
Okay, that's it. Well, the tamping is light work compared to what comes next. All right, this is leveling sand, and the idea is to put down just 1 inch of this. So to help us get the right thickness, I put down these 2 pieces of PVC pipe.
Great.
It's 3/4 inch pipe, but on the outside it's exactly 1 inch in diameter. These are called screed rails, and I'll show you in a second how they're going to work. But for the time being, let's just dump some sand out here. Now, leveling sand is relatively coarse, which makes it more stable and also allows for drainage. To get the perfectly level 1 inch thick sand bed we need for the pavers, I drag a 2x4 called a screed across the plastic pipes. All right. Now, if each one of you would take a hold of one of those
Okay.
and slide it out. We remove the screed rails, fill in the trenches with sand, and smooth the surface with a trowel. Now we're ready for the pavers. Because of the unusual shape of these particular paver stones, it's essential that the first few be placed in such a way that the outermost points create a perfect 90-degree angle. Establishing this angle assures that as we expand the patio, we'll maintain straight lines across both axes. And this is where I wish I'd paid a little bit more attention in geometry class, because the solution is in something called a 3-4-5 triangle. The law says, or the rule that is, that if you have a triangle with one 4-foot side here, one 3-foot side here, and one hypotenuse or diagonal that's 5 feet, then this angle right here has to be exactly 90 degrees. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take my tape measure and measure 3 feet down this string, make a mark with my felt tip marker. Okay, and then I'm going to ask my friend Dave over here to measure 4 feet
down this string. Okay. Now, I'm going to put my tape measure on his 4-foot mark, and he's going to move that line back and forth, left to right, until I get 5 feet on my mark over here. Keep moving, Dave. Move it in a little bit more, in. Okay, there we go. All right, 5 feet. Now, I know that this angle right here is exactly 90 degrees.
Homer and I placed the first 3 stones, making sure the outermost points line up with the strings that form our 90-degree angle. Now we're ready to expand outward.
All right, we're going to stop here now, and we're going to put some more sand out here.
Okay.
And screed back a little further. But we're going to continue this process, just working our way all the way down to that end.
Okay.
This is it.
The ceremonial stone. Well, we've put in all of our hole stones. Now we're going to have to do some cutting. For example, right up here where the stones meet these steps, and over here where they meet this pipe.
To determine where to make the cut, I trace the shape of a stone onto a manila folder, then cut it out. Next, I place the folder where the stone will go, determine where I want my cut line, mark it, and cut off the excess. Finally, I transfer the cut line from the folder to the stone.
So how do you cut a concrete pathway stone? With a saw. But not just any saw. This is a diamond saw blade in here. A lot longer life and probably will cut a little bit faster. So that's what we're going to try today. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a first scoring cut, about 1/4 of an inch deep here. Then we're going to lower the blade down so that we're making a deeper cut, and then you guys can each make some passes with that. Now these are precast edgers. Again, made by Matte Stone. They actually match the stone texture and color right here. These were going to be used to define this flower bed in here. Mm-hmm. They can also be used to define the edge of the walkway if you want a straight edge, all right?
Right.
So, Nat, why don't you start here? Just dig down here. I put this line, this is a level line, that's going to serve 2 purposes. It'll show us where the top of the edger should be, and it'll also make sure that we go in a straight line. It is level. Let me take the line level off. Okay. So you'll need to dig down, you and Amanda need to dig down a little trench there, about probably 1 inch to 1.25 inches. Make it 1.5 inches, actually.
Homer and Amanda dig the trench. Then we pour in some sand, level the surface, and set the edger stones in place.
Matt, we're going to be putting pea gravel in here underneath the arbor, and I'm putting down some landscape fabric right here. Some people call it weed cloth. This will keep the weeds from growing up through the pea gravel, but it also is kind of loose enough mesh so that water will drain through.
That looks really great. I like the color. This stone, I like the contrast a lot. This just helps to give it that cottagey look that we are sort of going for. I mean, the stones themselves are certainly that way, but this gravel really adds to that.
All right.
Hey, thank you very much, Nat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think we have something to toast right here.
It's just what we wanted. It's a complete extension of our home. It's a new room for us.
Well, our day began with a yard consisting of little more than dirt and weeds. But thanks to these easy-to-install stone-like pavers, along with the edger stones, pea gravel, and our new flower beds, the transformation is remarkable. Any visitor to this quaint cottage patio will have no trouble distinguishing the good taste of the South Carolina Simpsons from that of their cartoon cousins.
When it comes to choosing a ceiling fan, it's largely a matter of personal preference. But there is one factor to keep in mind, and that is you need to match the size of the fan to the size of the room. For example, if your room is 10 by 10, you'll need a 3-foot fan. If it's 15 by 15, a 4-footer, and if it's 25 by 25, you'll want to move up to something that's 5 feet in diameter. Ceiling fans are designed to rotate in both directions. In the summer, set yours to blow air downward. The wind chill effect could make you feel 8 degrees cooler, and you could cut your air conditioning costs by as much as 40%. In the winter, reverse your fan to pull air upward. That'll displace hot air that's collected near the ceiling and push it back down into the living area. And you could save up to 10% on your heating bill. Often a normal ceiling box just isn't strong enough to support a rotating fan. If you have any doubts about yours, replace it with one of these brace boxes. It actually wedges between the ceiling joists. Heating oil and natural gas prices are skyrocketing, and that means that homeowners are going to be facing higher winter heating bills than ever. But some are going to begin to investigate alternative heating sources, and one is the pellet stove. We've got one right here from Harmon. Now, instead of burning split wood, these stoves burn wood pellets. This is actually compressed wood made mostly of waste, sawdust, and chips. You fill this hopper up, and that provides enough fuel for this stove to operate for about 24 hours. It's completely automatic.
The only part that's not automatic is having to carry in the bags of fuel. Many dealers, though, will deliver them. To start the stove, you simply set the thermostat to the desired temperature and switch the power on. The stove self-ignites, and the fuel pellets are automatically fed into the fire chamber. Within minutes, the stove is up and running. You can figure that a stove like this will cost about $600 to operate for the heating season. And it produces 50,000 BTUs. That's enough heat to heat a house of 2,200 square feet. So if you're looking for ways to knock your fuel bill down, you might want to check out the pellet stove. You know, sometimes cleaning up from a project can take more time than the project itself. For example, you're drilling a hole in the wall and all that dust falls to the floor. Well, here's a solution. Tape a paper bag up before you drill, just below the hole. Go ahead, bore through. And all that dust will fall into the bag and not on the floor.
To view today's projects again, visit ronhazelton.com. Step-by-step home improvement tips when you need them.